Welcome to Escapes. I'm Erika and I am thrilled to invite you on this empowering journey. Join me as we explore the art of escaping self-doubt, the constraints of the 9-to-5 grind, the false realities that hold us back. We'll empower you to embrace entrepreneurship, motherhood, and co-working with your partner, and to boldly step into leadership roles that were once thought unattainable. Escapes is more than a podcast. It's a community of resilient women and men who are rewriting their stories, chasing their dreams, and smashing through glass ceilings. Together, we'll share stories of triumph, strategies for success, discuss our failures, and use insights from remarkable individuals who have paved their own paths to greatness. So join me, Erika Hemphill, as we unlock the doors to your unlimited potential. It's time to escape, empower, and embrace. Oh, and elevate. Your adventure begins now. Well, guys, we are back for another episode of Escapes with me, your host, Erika Hemphill, and we are going to talk about a few different topics that I feel like I get questioned a lot on. My husband questions me a lot on. So if I could wrap it up with a bow, today's episode will be about mindset, confidence, and
limiting beliefs
in yourself, and how do we overcome those? So welcome to Erika and Garland.
Yeah, so I have a great story to tell. This literally just happened yesterday. Can I cuss on this thing?
Sure.
Okay.
And not every sentence.
No. Basically, I have to eat shit. Eat crow. We'll say eat crow from now on.
Thank you.
So, Garland eats crow yesterday. That's the title.
Do you do
of the
this
story.
often?
Yeah.
Around this topic.
Around this topic, it's happened in the past. We're going to go through what happened yesterday. So, how long ago did we buy your vehicle? 6 to 9 months ago?
Actually, a year.
1 year ago, we bought a 2022 Yukon Denali from a local dealership. It was used, okay? So fast forward, the inspection sticker on the windshield is now expired, the brake tag, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And in our household, it's the man's responsibility to get the oil changed and the tires and the inspection stickers.
I wouldn't call it the man's job. It's just what I expect of my husband to do to take care of something that I truly do not want to take care of.
Yeah, like taking out the trash. Exactly. Things like that. All right. That's fair. I'm not, whoa, y'all sense a little hostility.
Yeah, we're not dividing between female and male jobs or tasks. It's something that
Bullshit.
I expect from my husband to take care of the vehicle.
It's an expectation that I take care of the car. So I go to an inspection station in town right around the corner from our office, and they're out of where I'm familiar with the people, and they're out of inspection stickers. So he tells me to go a block away to another place. And when I get there, they check the front window and they say that it has to be, whatever this means, it has to be 40 to be legal, and yours is only 17, so it's too dark. So it fails. You can't get an inspection sticker. So then I have to bring this problem back to Erika. So I go back to the office. I say, babe, we have a problem.
It really shouldn't be my problem.
Okay, but I go because it's your vehicle, and I explain to you that we have a problem. The windows on the front of your car are too dark. They're not super dark. And to be honest, they're dark enough that it would be questionable whether you would know if they were legal or not. So just explaining to the listeners, you can't see a picture of it, but they're obviously tinted, but you can still very well see through it. So we didn't, in our defense, we really didn't know that it was illegal when we bought it. So Erika says, Garland, you need to go to the dealership and talk to the people that we bought it from, and you need to tell them that we expect them to fix it. And this is where my limiting beliefs come in. And I try to analyze things. I analyze things, overanalyze things. And in my mind, I feel like it's unrealistic for me to expect the dealership, I don't think it's unrealistic to expect the dealership to take it off, but Erika's expectation is not only that they take it off, but that they put on the legal tint. And I just didn't believe that they would do that. I felt like they would laugh at me. Like if I worked there and somebody bought a vehicle a year ago and then they showed up and said, hey, I want you to, I have no leverage in this negotiation. Like, I've already bought the car, signed the contract. Like,
That's your own thought that you didn't have any leverage.
right. I agree. So I ended up just going to the tent shop where I know somebody that works there, and I asked him how much it's going to cost to take the tent off and put it on. I don't know. He said either 120 or 140 bucks, something like that. So I set it up for today to get the tent done. And I go back to the office and I say, "Hey, babe, I'm gonna get the tent taken care of. We got an appointment tomorrow at 1:00."
And what
And
did I ask?
what did the dealership say? I said, "Well, I didn't go to the dealership."
Did you call him?
No, I never talked to the dealership. I didn't go
So
there.
you didn't do what I
didn't
asked?
call them. I literally, you
Just
know,
just
I re-
disregarded what I asked.
I really had zero faith that the dealership cared or would care. So what did my wife?
Hold on a second. I think that I get to speak on this behalf at this point before we tell the end result.
Let me say that you picked up the phone and you called the dealership
While
and
you were right there.
while I was right there. And I didn't stick around for the whole conversation. We were in the office together. And when you got on the phone and I could tell what you were telling them, you're talking to the secretary, telling them the story about your tent. And all I said to you was that I would eat crow, but I used a different 4-letter word if they took care of it. And
then stormed out the office.
I did not storm out.
Yes, he did,
I
y'all.
walked out and I went to go meet a dirt guy on a property down the street.
He stormed out.
Erica's on the phone with the dealership when I left, so you can pick up the story from there.
The issue with the tent for me when it came up was that we're in an industry where we deal with customer service. And we're also in an industry that we sell a product to a client that they don't know all the ins and outs of what is required and or
They don't know code.
They don't know code. They don't know these things. So the minute that you tell me that I purchased a vehicle 12 months ago with illegal tent, actually my first statement to you before you called the tent place was you said something along the lines of like, how are you going to prove that you didn't put this tent on later? So I actually did a little bit of digging before I had already convinced myself that I was going to call the dealership. I made sure that I had some type of leverage at that point, and I did. When we went to go purchase this car a year ago, I cannot stand going to the dealership, y'all. It like my insides, it gives me anxiety. They're always trying to manipulate. They're always trying to like do all these backdoor numbers and stuff. Like I can't stand it. So Garland goes then. And you look at the car, you walked around it, you talked to the salesperson, you drove it. Then I just came the next day and I drove it and I was like, okay, perfectly fine.
So I had sent you pictures.
So you had sent me pictures. So I had pictures of the vehicle
before we bought it,
showing that that tent that's currently on the car was the same tent that I purchased it with. So therefore, the dealership had sold me a vehicle that was already illegally tinted when I signed for the car. At that point, I knew that when you returned after I thought that you would have at least called the dealership, that the answer was going to be that I was going to call them either way, whatever their answer was, if they were not willing to help, and let them know, you sold me a vehicle this way. I didn't put it on, and now I'm asking you to do something that's outside of your realm or that I did illegally. You sold me a vehicle in the state of Louisiana that I cannot go and get an inspection sticker that is required by our state. That's it. So when you came back, you had already convinced yourself that you weren't dealing with it, and I had already convinced myself that this was going to be the dividing line, whether I went back to this dealership to ever purchase another car. And by the way, our vehicle is a $100,000 vehicle. So, and they're a local dealership that they do a lot of stuff in our community. And so customer service should be their number one priority, just like customer service is ours. I didn't call and I was not ugly. I did not raise my voice. I just told the secretary I needed to speak to someone, whether that be the sales rep, if he was still working there, or a manager that I could discuss the tent issue with them. She told me that they would call me back. It was like 3 or 4 hours later. I went to carpool, hadn't heard anything back from them. So I called them back and just said, hey, I know that the manager probably leaves roughly around 5 or 5:30. And I'm still anticipating on a call from him today. Is there any way that you could see if he's available? He gets on the phone with me, and I was very nice and very kosher. And I just said, look, I purchased a vehicle a year ago. I was quite honest with him a year ago. But I have pictures showing that I purchased this car off of your lot from your sales rep, and the tint was illegal. Is it my job as a consumer to know what the law or code is on tint? And is it appropriate for me to have to ask that question? Is this tint legal? And he said, no, ma'am. And I said, that's where I'm at. I said, look, it's not about that it's going to cost me $140. It's about the customer service part of it that I didn't question y'all. I didn't doubt you. I just thought that when I bought the car that it was all in good standing, that when I drive this car off, I'm going to be able to go get an inspection sticker because the inspection sticker was only for 1 year. Sometimes in our state, you can get a 2-year inspection sticker. So my mind wasn't about being ugly. It was more about, is it the expectation that the consumer should know these things?
Right. And I'm extremely impressed with this particular dealership and the manager for being honorable. Like
Yeah.
that was very good customer service. You still haven't told anybody on the podcast what they offered.
So they turned around, and after we had like a 5 or 10 minute conversation, and the manager was very apologetic. I'm sorry. No, you don't have to know those things. We should have taken care of that for you. If you get it taken off, then I will, they offer to pay up to $125 to get the tint redone in legal tint, because you don't have to have all of it taken off. It's just the front 2 windows.
Correct.
And so I thought that was more than fair. He said, look, you pay for it, get the receipt, email it to me, and we'll take care of it.
So the reason I brought it up, Erika felt like, I understand. Erika felt offended that I didn't listen to her. But when I really analyzed the root cause of the issue for me, it was my own limiting belief. Like I initially had a limiting belief. I analyzed this, and my limiting belief kept me from asking them to fix it.
I don't know if it's like only the limiting belief. Anybody that's been following us or listens to us on this podcast knows that you don't like confrontation of any sort. And I think that you thought even if you called them and asked the question in a nice way, it still was confrontational. And it wasn't confrontational in any way.
Yeah, and I mean, I still analyze it whether I'm curious if I would have been able to have the conversation as well as you articulated the conversation with him, because he asked you a lot of questions. You know, he asked, how was he to know that you didn't put the tint on? Like you actually had to be able to prove the pictures, and you had to be able to politely, intelligently explain to him that we had no idea that it was illegal, and he had to genuinely believe you on that.
Correct.
I don't know if he would have believed me as well as he believed you. I don't know, but when we get on a podcast, I always enjoy talking about something that somebody can learn from. And I'm willing to admit that it's a personal weakness of mine, and it was a failure of mine that occurred yesterday, that if I wouldn't have had that limiting belief, it could have been, if Erika wouldn't have stepped up and did what she did, I would have been out $125 more. Like I mean, and it goes back further than that. Like just another example that I can think of is our first house.
Twin Oaks Drive,
2008, $173,000 home. I mean, I had just started a new job making $12 an hour. And I didn't believe that you could get that house.
Oh.
Our friends had bought a house on the street, and look, beautiful. It was small houses, but big lots. And there was another house for sale on the street where our best friends had just bought a house. And you saw it and went and looked at it, and you loved it, and you called me and told me to come look at it. And I loved it. Don't get me wrong.
At this point, we had not even went to the bank to see if we could be approved.
Wonderful lender, a hustler, a go-getter. He gets us a RD loan, a rural development loan, and we met the income requirements for the rural development loan, and he qualifies us for this house. We buy this house. I think literally the closing cost was either $25 or $28. We negotiated that the seller was going to pay up to $5,000 in closing costs, so we moved a bunch of the fees into the closing costs per se. And literally, we wrote them a check at the closing table for $25 and moved into the house. And our monthly note on the house, was it $1,012 or was
No,
$900?
it was $812 and change, and that included our note and our taxes.
So we moved into this dream starter home in
It was
this beautiful
beautiful.
neighborhood and paid less money per month than our rent house.
And the utilities were way cheaper. We were actually saving
Much
money
more
by
energy efficient. Like, unbelievable. Like, eat crow, G. Like,
I have this thing about me that and look, if you follow me or you've been following me for any amount of time, I do not accept no. Like I I'm it might be harder for me to figure it out and it might take time. But once I set my mind to something, I don't let it go.
well, I mean, there's times that you try to do things that they don't happen. For example, the Twin Oaks house, we lived in it for about 6 or 7 years, and we decided that we were ready to sell and we wanted to get a bigger house. And we tried to sell it and it wouldn't sell. So, like,
So what the listeners need to know about that part of our journey is that when we bought our first house, it was right after Katrina. We bought our house at a very premium
price.
rate and price, so that it was going to take us longer to get out of that like interest part of it and paying more down towards the principal.
The amount that we owed, we weren't going to be able to sell it and pay the realtor fees and everything and actually come out of it.
So what did I do whenever I realized that I couldn't get out of it with a realtor? And that was the start of something that we continue to do to this day.
We put the sale on hold, and 1 year later, we tried again, but we did for sale by owner, and we paid like a 2.5% realtor fee so that we could attract realtors to it.
But I wasn't coming out the full 6%,
right?
because what the house was worth at that time was less than what we had actually paid for it.
Right.
But what we owed on it was equivalent to what we were going to be able to get out of it for.
Right. So it's still an example of you couldn't tell Erica no that we couldn't sell it. We weren't able to sell it as fast as we wanted to, but we were able to find a way to make the sale happen.
And then do you remember that the gentleman that bought it from us bought everything in it?
Yeah, he bought the furniture,
Our barbecue pit, our outdoor furniture, our washer and dryer.
Which was extra few $1,000s that helped us with our next venture of building our next house. So that's just examples of limiting beliefs that I have, and being so analytical. Like, I'm sure somebody listening has a limiting belief. Like, that was a limiting belief from 2008 and now a limiting belief from yesterday. So, like,
you had limited beliefs on every house that we tried to build.
Basically what some people ask, like, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to get rid of limiting beliefs, but it's hard to say, oh yeah, I understand it and that I've moved on when I haven't, because yesterday I didn't.
I'm not laughing at the situation. I'm almost laughing at how different you and I are, because I always believe that you never know until you ask. They could have told me no yesterday. The bank could have told me no, that I couldn't afford those houses, but I was going to figure out a way. It's the same thing with, I remember that there were people all around us whenever we wanted to start ENG Designs and Construction, that because I had zero construction background, they did not believe that I was going to be able to do this.
And let's face it, if somebody walked up to you today and said, hey, Erica, I want to do what you did, I don't think you would tell them that they couldn't do it, but I think you would tell them it's not easy.
It's not easy, and you better have your big girl shoes on and panties on and be ready to sit in rooms with men that don't think that you can do it. So I feel like in the conversation of limited beliefs, I don't have limited beliefs on myself. Once I set a vision in place, a goal in place, it's very, I would say 98% it's going to take place. It might take me a little bit longer to get there, but it will happen. Same thing with us purchasing the condo. That's been on my bucket list forever. And what we did it. We bought it.
I didn't have limiting beliefs with that.
No, I think that
You have instilled a confidence in me. This is me deep analyzing myself. The confidence is maybe not so much in myself to get things done, but there's an astronomical confidence in our relationship that I know that if Erica wants to do something, that she can get it done, and that what I need to do is support her getting it done.
and when
Which
I analyze myself, I think that I continue to put myself around and in rooms with people that don't have limited beliefs, that keep pushing me and that keep saying exactly what I'm saying. You don't know until you ask. You don't know until you try. I mean, it we did like we tried to do like 3 deals on the condo, on different condos, and they kept falling through and they kept doing this and we kept minimizing ourselves. And I remember when we saw that condo, you did not have any limited belief that this was the one that we needed to get, this was the one that we needed to do, the location, and it needed a complete gut. And for me, that was a little intimidating. I was 2 states away from where we were. So I'm not going to say that I don't have that initial checkpoint sometimes of a limited belief, but I'm very quick to move on and like figure out how I'm going to get past whatever that little hiccup is.
Right. I think with the condo, the realization that it was the right one, like you kept trying to find ones that were already somewhat remodeled. And what I found when we studied the market looking for them for a month or two was that anybody that had remodeled one really nice and was trying to sell it, it was probably because it wasn't in a good location. We would go over there and find out that the building wasn't well maintained, or we'd go over there and find out that it was the balcony overlooked the pool and there was screaming people out there all day long. Like there were all the ones that were really nice on the inside that were for sale, didn't necessarily have great locations. And the one that we ended up picking to buy had this amazing location, but had this huge downside that it was pretty much original, 40 years old.
It was in pretty rough
They
shape.
had gotten rid of the red shag carpet,
That was about it.
but that was about it. Everything else was original. So
So in reference to like the limiting beliefs, that brings me to like the confidence portion of it. I have a lot of people that follow me and listen to me and are in coaching groups with me or in the process of being coached by me. And they always ask me like, where does my confidence come from? My question to my husband is that how do you live and deal with someone that has this exuberant amount of confidence all the time?
I don't know, because right when you start talking about confidence, like I'm not a not confident person. Like, but I'll tell you, I'm confident to do things that I have done. So like, think about even with my assistant at work, like I am really confident in telling him how to do something that I have done. But if it's a task that I've never done before, I feel like I need to go do it before I ask him to do it. I lack confidence in doing things that I've never done before, but when I've done them once, then I have this extreme confidence that I can do it again. So in like a punch list or building a house or remodeling a commercial old building, like I know how to drum up the confidence to get those jobs done because I know repeatedly I've done it over and over and over again. I lack confidence in my ability to do things that I've never done before. And this is just me openly analyzing it. And this isn't a conversation that me and you had yesterday. So I really don't even know where I'm going with that. What was your specific question?
And we deal with this all the time too on a daily basis. How do you live or deal with, there's probably a better, more finesse way to say that, but with me having so much confidence. Everybody asks, Erica, where do you get your confidence from? How you have so much confidence all the time? How do you
I learned
intermingle with that all the time?
I guess it's kind of sad because I learned from you that I should be more confident, but an example to me that like burst my bubble inside is that as much as I want to believe that I'm more confident of a person because of you, situations like what happened with the tent happen. And it helps me realize that I'm still not as confident as I should be or need to be. So, how do I live with you? I know that that's who you are. Like, I don't know. Like, I I I have things that I've learned through reading books. I have to adjust who I am or learn and grow into this person. And in a lot of ways, that's who you just are. Like, does that make sense? Like, some kids can pick up a ball and just throw it. Other kids pick up a ball and you've got to show them where to put their feet, how to reach back, how to pull their front elbow. Like, it's natural or it's not natural. So, like, ultimately what you're saying is like, how do I deal with somebody that's naturally confident when I'm artificially confident?
No, no. And the reason why I asked that question is because it leads me into this question. A lot of people say I'm intimidating. And as a person that tries to make everyone feel warm welcome, as confident as I am, sometimes that comes across as bitchy or not open. And I take up a lot of space in a room. I know that. I mean, look at my hair. I mean,
Yeah, I would say the word is understanding. Like, how can you show them that you understand that everybody's not like you? That would be my advice. Like, I know as your husband that we've been together for almost 20 years now, that like it or not, you understand me.
yeah,
So that would be my advice to you for people that just met you. How can you show them that you understand that today, meet them where they're at? Is it
sure, absolutely.
How can you show them that you're going to be able to meet them where they're at because you understand that this is who you are and they may not be there in all aspects yet?
But within saying that, I can't dim my light because someone else is
No,
intimidated
and I didn't
by
ask you to
theirs.
dim your light. I just said, just show them that you understand somehow, I guess. Like,
So, how do I let you know that I understand that you didn't call the tent place?
ooh, that's a good one. By doing what you did was the most effective way to prove to me that my belief wasn't right.
But does it ever come across that I'm just being like, I told you so?
I'm not I'm humble.
I'm not saying necessarily for you.
I
Let's
can't
take you out the
okay.
scenario and let's use an employee as an example for the listeners.
You cannot control how people react. Like, that's the hardest thing is that this, you just can't control that.
I think you hit the nail on the head, and that's kind of where I was like going about it. Like, if you have a mindset or a limiting belief about yourself, you have to figure out how to overcome that. But it's not the other person's job, your employer, your wife, to make you understand that. We can make you feel or try to convince you to be more confident. We can try to tell you to read books about mindset shifts, but you have to be the one to do that. And even though you meet people where they are, you still want to try to bring them along on the journey with you. And the reason why I ask those questions about how do you deal with me? I am very aggressive and very confident and I'm going to ask the question and I'm going to figure it out. And that can be intimidating. But how, as a person that has that limited belief, does a person that has all of that confidence and this take up space attitude bring you along on the journey to make you realize that, like, that's a false reality that you have on yourself?
Well, like, here's the thing. Just as much as I said, you know me and you know my personality, you've been winning for years. You won with the house in 2008. You won with the tent yesterday. You won with the condo. You won with selling the house. Like, tell people, watch me win. If you don't believe in my personality, or if you have beliefs that you can't be like me or that being like me isn't a winning way, watch me win because that's what you do.
And I want people to come along on the ride with me. And like, I get asked all the time, what are some of your losses? I really struggle at that. I really
Well,
struggle at that.
Yeah. And I know one thing that we felt like was a loss was that we sold the condo.
Yeah, but I've come to terms with it. That wasn't a loss.
No, it was
We
a
actually
blessing.
won. And
Yeah.
it was a blessing. We made a lot of money off of that. And
We
that helped us in a downturning in a market. Is it gut wrenching to feel like, oh, I just can't pack my bag on a Friday and go? Yeah. But guess what? It was sucking money out of us too. As much as we made when we sold it, every month it was sucking because
the condo
the condo
association.
association, the insurance went up again this year. So it was a blessing. So as much as I thought that that was a loss, it really wasn't. It wasn't a loss.
No.
And so when people ask me, Erica, okay, let's use that. You win all the time. Shit, you don't know what that's like to lose. I don't. Because I won't. I don't have a plan B most of the time when I go into scenarios. I heard the other day on a different podcast that if you, it was a podcast, no, it was a TV show you and I were watching. If you have a plan B, that's because you think that plan A is going to fail. So why do you have a plan B? I typically don't go into scenarios with the, well, what if I lose? What if I do this? I mean, I started ENG Designs and Construction, and like I have never looked back on like what it would look like if it completely failed. Because if it completely failed, I'd shut it down and start over with something else. It would be a learning lesson for me, not a failure of some sort.
Right. That's pretty powerful.
So I think that
Can end on that.
in closing, I think I would just say that if you're listening to this and you've been dealing with some type of mindset that is
Limiting.
imposter syndrome, limiting beliefs on yourself, get in a room, get around people that don't have that mindset, because when you get around people like that, your mind shift changes to something else and you get to use borrowed confidence. There you go, win rate. There's your drop. We talk about that a lot in win rate. I will give you some of my confidence. You can borrow mine anytime. I have a lot of it. And I think that when you put yourself in rooms and around people and your circle and your friends are people that are confident and they're good with winning, then your mindset changes. Your limited beliefs change and they become minimized. You have made and changed and grown so much just since you've come over to ENG that I love the person that you are. Do you drive me crazy? Absolutely. Does it piss me off whenever I'm like, hey, call the dealership and let's talk about the tent, and you don't do it? But like you said, you had a learning experience yesterday, and I didn't even know that I was teaching you anything. I was just doing what I knew I needed to do to make this situation right. So if you're listening to this and you are having doubt in yourself, scratch it off. Don't let that be something that hinders you from going to do and be something great. So thanks
Listen,
for joining us today. That one was really fun. So
I bring all the good topics.
yeah, he drives me crazy. So thanks again, guys. Have a great day, and we'll see you next time.